A study came out earlier this spring showing that despite their large sizes, humpback whales are not able to see more than a couple hundred feet in front of them in any sort of detail. Welcome back to Tea of the Sea, and humpback whales are one of the most well understood great whales in our oceans. We know where the majority of populations, if not all of the populations of humpback whales, go to breed in the wintertime, and we know where they generally go in the summertime to feed. We know how long calves stay with their mothers. We know a whole bunch of things about them. We even know that some individuals may partake in homosexual activity, although that's still kind of up for debate. If you want to hear more about that, go check out this video. I've talked about it before. But one thing that we always kind of assumed is that their eyesight was really good because they have really large eyes. But a very unique opportunity came up last year that allowed us to actually figure out how well do humpbacks see things. And as it turns out, they're not very good at it. So a team of researchers led by Jacob Bolin, who at the time was studying marine biology at the University of North Carolina, Wilmington, were able to cut into the left eye of a recently acquired juvenile humpback whale to determine how well it can see. When Bolin cut into the eye of this juvenile specimen, they were able to make several observations that give us a good understanding of just how not that great of eyes humpback whales have. One of the first observations that Bolin and his team identified was that the white of the whale's eye was particularly thick at the back of the eye, which reduced the whale's focal length. The focal length is the distance between the lens and the retina at the back of the eye, and a longer focal length generally indicates a sharper eyesight. So for the focal length of the humpback's eye to be a lot shorter indicates that it didn't have very sharp vision. Another limitation that the team uncovered involves the number of retinal ganglion cells, which are effectively the pixels of the eye. Basically, the retinal ganglion cells are neurons whose job is to take the image that's on the retina of the eye and transfer it into electrical signals for the brain to interpret. The team found that the whale had at most about 180 retinal ganglion cells per square millimeter, which compared to humans is really low. Humans have about 40,000 retinal ganglion cells within a single square millimeter, so there is a vast difference in the amount of cells in human eyes versus this humpback eye. The team also determined that the whale could see at about 3.95 cycles per degree, or CPD, which is determined by the number of pairs of black and white lines that the eye can see within 1 degree of visual space. By comparison, humans have a much higher rate of visual acuity, being able to see anywhere between 60 to 100 cycles per degree. After figuring all of this out, the team of researchers put all of this data into a computer model to determine how humpback whales see the environment around them. And through this computer model, they were able to figure out that humpback whales can see large shapes like schools of fish at a distance, but they can only see things in finer detail within 3 to 4 body lengths of themselves, which equates to about 150 to 200 feet. Now, what does this all mean conservation-wise? Well, humpback whales are affected by a multitude of human-caused problems, including human-accelerated climate change, ship strikes, and probably most importantly for this, line entanglement in fishing gear and crabbing gear and the like. And since humpback whales apparently cannot see things in fine detail until it's a little too close for them to really effectively be able to avoid, it means that they might not be able to notice that the large mass that they might think is a school of fish is actually a fishing net or something like that that they can then get entangled in and injured by. Now, as it turns out, this juvenile humpback whale eye that Bolin was able to get his hands on was a wet specimen. It had been preserved in a jar in a museum or research facility or somewhere for over a decade. And so this study, when it was released, had a little bit of pushback from some other biologists. One of those is Velena Vecino Cordero, a biologist at the University of the Basque Country in Spain, who has previously analyzed whale eyes but didn't participate in this study. She's a little bit unsure about this study, mainly because the eye has been in a jar for over a decade, and she thinks the team might be overestimating humpback whale vision, but whether they are or not, if this information is relatively accurate and humpback whales do not have very good vision, especially at a distance of more than 3 or 4 body lengths, it could give us a lot of help conservation wise in trying to change how we fish the oceans. If this research can lead to fishing gear being designed to be more visible to whales, or at the very least easier to differentiate from a large school of fish at a distance, this could greatly reduce the number of lying entanglements in the future compared to today. More studies, of course, will need to be done to be able to see if it's just humpback whale vision that's not very good or other large baleen whales. But hopefully this leads to better fishing designs so we can help protect the giants of the sea.